Hello and welcome. Quipster Puck here, along with my good buddy Dale. It's been quite a while, hasn't it? Come to think of it, I think the last time that I came out with a video was, Halloween last year? Well, anyways, happy Halloween! You know, it seems like only yesterday I was having to pack up my old house and get ready to move. Thanks to Rune. Dale, no whispering. Don't you see I'm talking? Well, anyways, where was I? As you can see, I've moved into my new humble abode, and I think it's rather cozy, don't you? I mean, I just love this moon tapestry up here. Dale, if you got something to say it loud enough for all of us. It's rude. You're such a bonehead sometimes, I tell you. Well, you did remind me of a story. Guess you're good for something, buddy. Tonight's tale is about a young man who goes to school with a real freak. You know the kind. We've all had to deal with freaks. Imagine all the kids in alchemy class that had to deal with me. Good times. Wow. Well, I digress. Today, I'd like to present to you the tale of the Skull Whispers. Enjoy.
Polly was always weird, even before the whispers started. Everyone knew a kid like him growing up. Greasy hair, stained clothes, generally poorly taken care of. It's not that he was poor. Plenty of us were poor. Polly was neglected. That didn't mean anything at the time, of course. We were in second grade, and he was just the weird kid. It was kind of a relief to have him around because you knew there was always someone lower than you in the pecking order. If you were having a bad day, if the bullies were coming after you, you could always go take it out on Polly. Call him a name, make fun of his clothes, shove him, maybe. Remind yourself that you weren't the worst off. Polly always took it. As soon as any sort of torment started, he'd just clam up and wait for it to end. As defensive tactics go, it wasn't bad. He'd turtle up, and whoever was poking at him would get bored and go away after a little while. Maybe he'd be a little dirtier than before, a little more scuffed up and bruised, but he'd survive. All of this is to say that it took a while to notice that anything had changed about Polly. He came to school just like always, sat quietly at his desk during class, did his work, and took his abuse. It was actually that finally caught my attention, I think. One of the kids was making fun of Polly, asking him why he'd worn the same shirt for 2 days in a row. I was watching, glad it wasn't me, and I'd realized it had been more than 2 days. He'd been wearing the same shirt the previous week, and I knew because I'd pushed him in the cafeteria and he'd spilt chocolate milk on it. I hadn't meant to do that, just to shove him a little bit. And I'd felt bad and given him mine. He hadn't said thank you, which I thought was rude. None of us were great kids. I'm not defending my behavior, just explaining why I'd noticed his shirt at all. Anyway, There it was, stain and all. He was still wearing it a week later. I tried to wear the same shirt 2 days in a row before and had been shot down hard by my parents. I'd love to say that I was worried for Polly, that I knew something was wrong, but I think honestly, I just wanted to know how he'd talked his parents into letting him wear the same shirt. I got to wear my favorite shirt like once every 2 weeks, tops. If he had a secret, I wanted to know it. I leaned over close to him when we were all supposed to be reading, wanting to whisper quietly enough not to be heard. But Polly was already whispering, a barely audible sound that I didn't notice until I was inches away from him. I turned my ear toward him, trying to hear what he was saying, but it was just a quiet sound, all soft symbiance, and I couldn't make it out. The teacher spotted me and ordered me back to my desk, but as I moved away, I saw that Polly's lips weren't moving, not even the slightest bit. Once I'd heard his whispers for the first time, I started to notice them whenever I got close to him, and it was quiet. Anytime we were reading in the classroom, I could lean over and hear the sound. When we lined up for recess and the teacher made us all be quiet before she let us go, I'd hear those whispers right in front of me. His lips never moved, but the whispers never stopped. I asked Polly about it, but he just shrugged and walked away. When I followed him, he turtled up like he always did, staring down at his shoes and just waiting for me to give up. I tried asking the teacher, but she only said that Polly shouldn't be whispering to me in class and told me to ignore him. I tried to explain that he was whispering without his mouth. She just laughed at me. I kind of gave up at that point. Polly was weird anyway, so this was just one more thing. I just stopped paying attention and forgot about the whispers. Then, a couple of days later, at recess, a couple of older kids came over to pick on Polly. He was sitting in the sandbox, piling up the sand into something complicated. I was too far away to hear what they said, but I saw one of them kick over his sand structure. Polly tried to huddle up, but the other kid pulled him to his feet and then pushed him. Polly staggered backwards and tripped, falling hard and cracking the back of his head against the wooden corner of the sandbox. Someone nearby screamed, and everyone came running. I got there before the teachers did, before they gathered all the kids up and hurried us back inside. I saw the two bigger kids standing there looking shocked. I saw Polly staring sightlessly up at the sky, unmoving. From the back of his head, instead of blood, there poured an endless pool of ants. Large, black ants, each the length of a fingernail, came rushing out. They ran frantically over the sandbox, burrowing into the sand to hide, disappearing off into the grass nearby. There were thousands of them, maybe millions, and as they busted over the sand, I heard tiny, stretching noises they made. It was a soft sibilance, a continuous flowing whisper as all of their tiny feet rushed across the hard surface. The rumors around school were that when they went to Polly's house, they found nothing but a big pit inside, that all the floors were gone, and there were just mounds of dirt riddled with tiny tunnels. They said they never found Polly's parents, and they never found where the tunnels led either. I don't know if any of that was true, but I know what I saw, and I know what I heard. I'll never forget the sound of those whispers. I'm much older now. I have a kid of my own, a baby boy. He's perfect and precious. He's independent and adventurous. Likes to go off and explore things. I flatter myself that he's like I was at his age. We were out in the yard yesterday, and he came up to me, chubby fist extended. "Look!" he said, opening his hand proudly. Inside scrambled to escape the clump of dirt trapped in his palm were a dozen terrified ants. I yelled and slapped his hand, sending the dirt flying and making him cry. I scooped him up and cradled him to my chest, feeling him sob in my arms, feeling my heart hammering against his body. I soothed him and calmed him down. The sobs were fading to hiccoughs, then to silence. And in that silence, his head against my chest, the top of it just inches from my ears, I heard the faintest of whispers.
Oh, welcome back. I do hope that you enjoyed tonight's story. You know, you can never be too careful. Don't want any bugs invading my new home, after all. That was quite the tale, don't you think? Hey, Del, was that really you whispering a while ago? Anyways, I'd like to wish you a very happy Halloween, and please do stay safe. And if you would like to have me read one of your stories on my channel, please send me an email at quipsterpuck@gmail.com. I'll put the link in the description below. I'm always looking for new material. Well, that's all for tonight. Ta-ta for now.